When a mommy Pokemon and a daddy Pokemon love each other very, very much, they go into the daycare center together and eat sandwiches. And through that process, an egg is born, because that's basic biology and Arceus said so. But 1 out of every 4,096 eggs hatches into a very special baby. It's a shiny Pokemon. Besides having a slightly different color palette and giving a little bit of razzle-dazzle once it's sent out of the Pokeball, there's really no difference between them and their average counterpart. But damn if every Pokemon fan isn't obsessed with them.
There it is! There it is! There it is! There it is! There it is!
Including me, of course. In fact, I love shiny Pokemon so much that I redesigned all 151 original Kanto Pokemon shinies based off of my own deranged opinions and preferences. And since you clicked on this video, you probably love shiny Pokemon too, so let's not waste any more time. Without further ado, here are my redesigned shiny Pokemon for the Gen 1 Pokedex. Starting off with good old Dex entry number 1, it's Bulbasaur. I really like the original shinies for these little guys, but I decided to pick colors that more heavily reference their oopy-droopy poison typing. So all of the Saurs get a nice purple color along with a teal flower. For the Charmander line, I wanted to make them a brownish gray that I imagined would make for good camouflage in the Rocky Mountains, plus some blue fire for that Mega Charizard Z reference. But as for Game Freak's scaly moneymaker Charizard, I figured he should look nice and flashy, so a hot fiery pink it is. Next up is Squirtle. I really wanted him to look like a real-life sea turtle, which have warm red shells. So Wartortle and Blastoise all receive a similar coat of paint. Then I realized this makes them look like red Koopas, so let's pretend I did that one on purpose as a fun homage. I was really tempted to color the Caterpie line after monarch butterflies, or even reference the pink Butterfree from the anime, but I decided on going for something maybe less orthodox, and settled on a nice forest green for Caterpie, a pale, almost white sage for Metapod, and gave Butterfree colors based off of the tiger swallowtail butterfly. Did you know that the Caterpie line's original shinies kind of resembled a traffic light, with yellow, red, and green? I wanted to do that for Weedle and gang too. Green Weedle, red Kakuna, and inverted yellow Beedrill that looks cool and dangerous. Pidgey shinies are super underwhelming. A lot of Gen 1 shinies are this nasty color that I call Piss Puke, and poor Pidgey was not spared. So I was more than happy to spruce up these little birds with some pink and purple flair. Pidgeotto and Pidgeot also get a fabulous streak of orange. Rattata and Raticate are rats, and what's wrong with that? To embrace the rodentness, I gave them gray rat fur and pink rat paws and tail. The Spearow line is also cursed with the Piss Puke disease, so I messed with their color palettes by adding some non-Piss Pukey green and yellow in the mix, as well as changing their dull brown to a stronger orange. They kinda remind me of Galarian Zapdos now. Much cooler. Ekans and Arbok have muddy, ugly colors for shinies. No good. How about a sleek, cool palette that reflect their cold-blooded nature? I think the dazzling aquamarine makes Arbok especially much more appealing. Deciding on Pikachu's shiny is tricky, since he's the mascot of the whole franchise. But Game Freak already messed up on his actual shiny, so I can't do much worse. I gave this millionaire a snowy white coat, but kept his iconic yellow in his cheeks. But when I tried giving Raichu the same treatment, he looked off. After fooling around, I just said screw it and decided on an electrifying blue and green combo that I think looks really nice, even if it's a bit of a wild card. It's tempting to give Sandshrew and Sandslash a blue color palette to match a certain hedgehog, but why would I do that when Knuckles is way cooler? So I glued red bricks on the shrew and gave Sandslash a super color palette. The Neatos! I love their original shinies so much, except her, so thinking of another angle was tough. So I didn't. I just gave the girlies a pale pearly pink instead of their magenta shinies, and fixed up Nidoqueen to match the others. Now for the lads, I couldn't use blue, so I figured navy black would make for an equally masculine look. Clefairy is one of my all-time favorite Pokemon, and I actually really like its original shiny. But pale purple fur with golden tips is just too irresistible. I think these might be my favorite redesigns out of the bunch. I also think Vulpix turned out nice, with rich chocolate brown fur and yellow eyes. It's tough to beat Ninetales' original shiny, but I actually think the new Chocolate Fox doesn't look half bad. Next up is the Jigglypuff line. Did you know Jigglypuff's Japanese name is Pudding, as in pudding, because it jiggles like flan? So I caramelized their asses. And I gotta say, they look pretty delicious now. Inverting Zubat and Golbat's colors would make A+ shinies, since that would also reference Crobat, but that's just too easy. Instead, I gave them spooky vampire colors befitting of blood-sucking vampire bats. Aw dish. Radish. Radish is a root. What else is a root? Beets! They are funky beets now. And Vileplume gets a dark, sexy purple flower that complements its poison typing. Paris and Parasect are gross little mushroom zombies, so I gave them sickly green skin and an overall diseased look that could blend in nicely among other plants. The Venonat line actually has pretty appealing shiny forms, so it wasn't easy to rework it. In the end, I completely overhauled these bugs' creepy poison nature and replaced it with a pastel cherry blossom pink and green vibe. For Diglett, I went with a brick red color for no reason. And Dugtrio is now rocking some primary colors for also no reason. The Meowth line has one of the most disappointing shinies around, but in trying to fix it, I found it's pretty challenging. I really wanted to give Meowth the colors of a calico cat since that's what it's based off of, but I think it ended up being too similar to the original. So with Persian, I wanted to try a shiny golden color palette, just like Golden Moneki Neko's, but it's also a bit too subtle. Maybe if its texture resembled the golden ball of Shiny Rellor or Shiny Fortress. Psyduck is a 10 out of 10 shiny, so when in doubt, make it pink. And for Golduck, we can finally fulfill the prophecy of making him a gold duck. Mankey and Primeape have anger issues, so a steaming red suits them marvelously. Now for the Growlithe line, I decided that a darker maroon paired with silver fur gave them a legendary look that matched their Pokedex description. Arcanine even resembles its Hisuian counterpart, just a little. What do shiny Poliwag and Poliwhirl look like? What? That's not shiny at all. These tadpoles need justice, so I'm giving them a froggy green just like Arceus intended. Poliwrath's original shiny is green, but it's the Gen 1 puke ugly green, so he also gets a fresh coat of frugification. Surely the Alakazam line got some respect in their shinies. These aren't even shiny, they just need a tan. But if I'm being honest, I didn't really know what direction to take with these guys. I ended up making them a bright purple because that's psychic-y, right? They look cool enough to me. Machop and his buff brothers are also victims of Gen 1 piss puke, though in the end, it's more puke than piss. So to fix it, I gave them a sleek purple redesign with orange and yellow accents. Machoke is already purple though, so he swaps colors with Machop. Making the Bellsprout shinies was all too easy. They match perfectly with a fall-themed redesign, looking good with red leaves and an orange body. The Tentas have insane shiny potential. Any color combination I tried looked pretty rad. But in the end, I settled on something a tad controversial. And honestly, it only makes sense to me. Look at Salamence. It has pretty similar colors to the Tentas, but back in the day, the Mensa sprite art in Ruby and Sapphire was colored totally differently. They gave him a purple body and orange wings. I thought those colors looked so cool on him that I honored the OG Ments by coloring the shiny jellies with his original purple and orange look. I think they look dope like this. I won't be taking criticism at this time. Anyways, my reasoning on the Geodude's line shinies is nothing so complex. A city dark purple that resembles Cole and Bob's Your Uncle, but enough purple shinies. Next up is the Ponyta line. This one was tough, because between Ponyta and Rapidash, they take up all of the cool colors. They already tried blue, gray, and even purple. I was left with little viable fire colors, so I went with the niche, but irrefutably cool, green flames, for a wicked and radical vibe. Did I say enough purple shinies? I lied. Slowpoke is now a cute lilac purple. But since Slowbro's shiny is already purple, let's mix it up and give it a seafoam green for that oceany vibe, and get rid of that piss puke Shelder. It's hard to beat the Magnemite line shinies, what with their pale metallic gold and black magnets. I ended up going for something more unorthodox, so I gave them a rusty copper body with uniquely colored magnets. It's a little weird, but I think Magnemite fans like a little weird. Well, maybe that's far-fetched. No, it's far-fetched. I gave him mallard duck colors and he looks more delicious than ever. This next one, like Tentacool, will only make me happy. The Doduo line shinies needed some desperate depukifying and I was happy to oblige. I could have gone with making them ostrich colored and that probably would have been the right call. But I had a personal story. On my very first Pokemon Leaf Green team, I had a Dodrio named Epona, after Link's horse from the Legend of Zelda series. She was the goodest girl in the world, and ever since then I've always associated Doduo with Epona. So in honor of her, I gave the Doduo line chestnut red feathers, black beaks, and white legs. Does it look too similar to its non-shiny form? Yes. But I love it all the same. Seal Shiny's pretty atrocious, but in Game Freak's defense, there's not much to be done since it's essentially all white. So I added a pink tinge and a more recognizable blue muzzle. And for Dugong, a more vibrant pink for that sunburnt charm. Grimer and Muck look like poop, so I colored them like poop. I don't need a genuine motive every time, okay? Just be glad I didn't take inspiration from Muxinane backwards.
Oh, dude, you're drinking cum powder? Oh!
Shelter gets a muted blue shell with a standout green tongue, and to make Cloyster feel special, I replaced its black pearl with a sparkling golden one. At first glance, my shiny Ghastly may look too similar to its non-shiny version, but once you evolve it, you'll see why I chose that magenta cloud of smoke. I could very well make Gengar shiny look like its iconic mega form, but where's the fun in that? Hot pink Gengar, the ultimate revenge for its trash shiny. But enough originality. Everyone wants shiny Onix to look like the Crystal Onix from the anime, and so do I, goddammit. So here's Crystal Onix, rightfully restored. I find Drowsy and Hypno shinies to be delightfully adorable, especially considering how creepy they are, so finding another color palette was a tough call. In the end, I gave shiny Drowsy monochrome colors that resemble a real-life tapir, and Hypno, well, I just made him look green because it looked nice. Now I'm actually a fan of the golden crab, but I think a cute seafoam blue would look just as cute on Krabby. Kingler shiny, however, is piss puke trash.
Disgusting shit.
So I happily replaced it with a bright red shell with dark brown accents that mimic an actually cooked king crab. Voltorb is a Pokeball, and shiny Voltorb is a great ball. So my cooler shiny Voltorb is a master ball. Flip it upside down and boom, Electrode's done too. Execute gets the old fried egg treatment, while Executor is ready for a tropical vacation complete with green coconuts. On the edgier side of things, little orphan Cubone gets the blood-soaked skull of his dead mom, and Marowak cosplays Red Skull. I like shinies where only a certain part or object changes colors, so I thought it worked pretty well with these sad saps. Hitmonlee is named after Bruce Lee, so why not pay homage with a black and yellow shiny modeled after Bruce Lee's famous jumpsuit? I'm not a kung fu expert, so I don't really know if Jackie Chan has any iconic looks, but I gave Hitmonchan a gray and red color palette loosely based off Rush Hour Jackie. Lickitung looks like he'd love a lollipop, so I gave him a fruity candy color palette he might have picked up after his visit to the Wonka factory. Speaking of factories, coughing and wheezing are looking more radioactive than ever with their noxious green shinies and black smoke puffs. I hear that a lot of people are fan of Rhyhorn shiny, but to be honest, he looks dusty to me. And just look at what they did to my poor boy Rhydon. You'd think the first Pokemon ever designed would deserve more than the piss puke treatment. So I gave the little rhinos not quite black shinies so they can live out the badass lives they've always wanted. Execute got fried, but what about Chansey? Well, she gets the old fried egg treatment too, of course. It's too funny not to. She looks stunning with that bright orange yolk. Next up, Tangela gets cobalt blue vines and snazzy yellow sneakers. No big reason why, I just thought it looked nice. Kangaskhan's design needed some serious reworking, however. It's not easy being a single mom, so a pink palette really showcases her girl power. For the Horsey line, I don't really think I can do much better than the original shinies, so I settled for a pleasant yellow that I think would stand out nicely on the ocean floor. For Goldeen, I really wanted to take inspiration from actual goldfish, obviously. Most goldfish have the same colors, but their difference in pattern is what makes them so unique. So instead of changing their colors, I just switched up their arrangement. It looks totally different now. I gave Staryu the Patrick Star, and Starmie is looking a little spongy, but let's pretend it's a gold star for the good noodle board. I won't lie, Mr. Mime looks like grapes, and his original shiny looks like grapes, so I made him grapes. He's grapes now. Scyther's shiny definitely needed some love, so I colored him after orchid mantises. Positively adorable. For Jinx, I think an icy blue color palette is the only way to go to really play up her ice typing. I tried going for something a bit high concept for Electabuzz, by making it completely black with a metallic sheen to its stripes. I imagined it in the Scarlet and Violet rendering where you can tell the stripes are made of an iridescent metal. I think it looks cool, but it might be a bit too much black. What do you think? Magmar's concept was much simpler though. I wanted to give it a bright, saturated, and trippy coloring since Magmar is already a bit of an odd duck. So I settled on this pink and purple scheme that looks fantastic in my opinion. Pinsir kinda looks like a cartoony devil with horns to match, so I made his shiny a devious red with black accents. And for Tauros, having him look more like a fierce red bull looked great. A darker palette really plays up his savage temperament, and he's even got golden horns for swagger points. But next up was a challenge for me. How was I supposed to beat the Golden Carp? It's one of the most iconic shinies of all time, rivaling its evolved form, so I tried going for something different. By changing Magikarp's shade of red and making his face white, I made him look like a fishing bobber, which I think works great for the little guy. And then there's the infamous red Gyarados. As much as I love its original shiny, I'm also a fan of the sea monster color palette I ended up going with. Lapras is also a sea monster, but a much more lovable one. Her magenta shiny is perfect for her, but I tried a cute seafoam green and pink shell combination that also turned out great. Ditto shiny was all too easy. A man-made goo should have a nice lime green color, just like Flubber or Nickelodeon Gak. Eevee was not nearly as easy, considering its original white shiny makes for the perfect Arctic fox. I instead tried for a red fox approach with green accents that gave an adorable candy cane Christmas vibe. I made Vaporeon a murky indigo to blend in with her surroundings during dark nighttime swims, while I made Jolteon a zapping neon blue complete with a yellow collar. I was glad to give Flareon a cooler shiny, dulling his fur into a sooty gray, like he was burned to cinders. Overall, I'm really happy with how the VVs turned out. I wasn't quite so sure how to approach Porygon, however. I gave it a yellow and blue aesthetic that kinda reminds me of old Fruitager computer aesthetics. The Ammonite line looks really awesome once I fossilized it again. I'd definitely hunt for these guys. And for Kabuto and Kabutops, they ended up looking really cool with a dull teal palette. For the final fossil, I toyed around with some ideas, but in the end, this dark blue ended up looking the best on old Bonejaw here. I gave Snorlax a classic panda design, and boy does it look cute. But I went a little crazy with the legendary birds, since I wanted to avoid the obvious route of recoloring them like their Galarian counterparts. So see if you can understand the vision. Articuno's beak always reminded me of a canary, so I made it a canary. I made Zapdos a Gatorade green for added radicalness. And last but not least, Moltres is now a funky purple and blue combo that reminds me of berry fruit flavors and candy. I wanted to make the Dratini line look really special. They are the first dragon types after all. So I gave Dratini and Dragonair an angelic golden color with jade accents, and I made our lovable Dragonite a white, gold, and blue aesthetic. And last but not least, we have Mew and Mewtwo. For these psychic cats, they ended up looking fantastic with their colors swapped. Mewtwo a bright bubblegum pink, and Mew a lavender purple. And there you have it! All 151 Pokemon shinies completely redesigned. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments which one you would shiny hunt for. And also tell me the ones you think were complete dog shit so I know not to respect your opinion. If you guys liked the video, hit the like button so I can know to make a second part with the Johto decks.